Bom dia. Good morning. Welcome to the press conference of the high-level EU-Africa Forum on Green Investment. With us today is the Minister of State and Foreign Affairs, Augusto Santos Silva, the President of the European Investment Bank, Werner, and Vice President of the EIB, Ricardo Mourinho Felix. All three will make initial statements, and then we will have some time for questions and answers. Minister, please, if you wish to start.
Thank you very much. And very brief introductory remarks. First, to thank the European Investment Bank for joining us in this joint organization of a very important event, the high-level forum between European Union and Africa on green investment. This is not only an event, this is a sequence, a logical sequence of events. We had 26 green talks during this last month, engaging more than 5,000 people working together on the prospects for our future. So it was very, very important to have this structured dialogue in several European and African capitals between partners that all are needed to improve our capacity of dealing with the green transition. The green transition is an enormous opportunity for economic growth and for the creation of jobs. And this is really important. So we need financing, we need funding, we need partnerships, we need political engagement and political dialogue. It is very important what was achieved this week within the European Union under the Portuguese presidency of the Council, and I'm referring, of course, to the agreements between the European Parliament, the Council and the Commission on the very first European climate law. And we need to improve, to enhance this dialogue with our closest continent, Africa, in order that together we can address the climate action challenges. And for this we need financing, and we have the financing. We have now the new program within the multi-annual financial framework of the European Union, the program Global Europe. That means an instrument, a financial instrument of 80 billion euros to finance our partnerships with Africa and other partners. And 30% of these 80 billion euros for the next 7 years have to be spent for reaching climate action targets. And of course, we count on the European Investment Bank to foster additional funding that is needed for our green investments. The declaration of this forum is very important, our charter for a greener future in Africa, because it addresses this challenging, putting our commitments to action, to join strategy in order to reach our goals. Thank you.
President, please.
Thank you very much, Minister. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, colleagues, excellencies. It's a pleasure to be back to Lisbon. It's a pleasure to participate again in a meeting on site. And I thank the Portuguese presidency for all the work that they have done over the last years in preparation of this presidency, during the first months of the presidency, and in preparation of this very event here for the hospitality extended to us here in Lisbon. It's a great pleasure to be with you at Lisbon for today's high-level EU-Africa Green Investment Forum. And it's a blessing that in this very point in time in history, Portugal has the presidency of the European Union Council, because you can hardly find a more open-minded and maritime-oriented place than Portugal. And I really appreciate the enormous expertise, but also passion that is behind the activities of our Portuguese friends in this context. Africa and the European Union share the goal of accelerating the green transition and unlocking sustainable development to build a better future post-COVID-19. Today, the Portuguese EU presidency and the European Investment Bank, the EU Bank, are bringing together more than 1,000 experts, business representatives, policymakers, development and civil society stakeholders from across Africa and Europe. This forum is the largest dialogue focusing on investment in Africa to take place since the start of the pandemic over a year ago, and comes at a crucial time to build a blue economy. No, that was too quick. Let me first say that today's event and the 25 Green Talks have taken place across Europe and Africa over the last months. These 25 talks have demonstrated the partnership in action. Thousands of development, environmental, financing, and policy experts have provided insights into successful solutions to harness renewable energy, to protect communities against the effects of climate change. The presidency has also special focus to build a blue economy, scaling up high-impact investments. Together, we are creating opportunities and improve lives from accelerating the green transition. From Helsinki to Luanda, Maputo to Berlin, Cape Verde to Paris, the Portuguese EU presidency and EIB experts have led policy discussions and shared best practice with community leaders, entrepreneurs, international financial institutions, and representatives of the European and African unions. As highlighted by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen at the opening of this Investment Forum, we have to ensure not only a strong, but also a green recovery. It is not about rebuilding what has been destroyed due to the pandemic, but to rebuild better and make the future economies in Africa and Europe more resilient. Never miss a crisis. That's what we've learned from Churchill. This crucial focus will be reinforced this afternoon by President Biden and 40 world leaders at the Global Climate Leaders Climate Summit in Washington. They have done a great job. And it's so heartwarming to see our friends in America on the same boat again. Because now we have the opportunity, after the announcements of the European Union, which under Portuguese leadership arrived at the first climate legislation ever, this very week, between Council, Parliament, and Commission. And the announcements of the Biden administration, not only to go back to the Paris Accord, but also to engage in very ambitious climate objectives, and not to forget the announcements of the Chinese government to really take that challenge serious now. So we have an opportunity that this world is finally changing course. Ladies and gentlemen, the EIB, the EU Bank, has been investing in Africa for more than 55 years. In the wake of the pandemic, we stepped up our efforts, reflecting the combined challenges of green transition and COVID-19. I'm pleased to confirm that last year the European Investment Bank provided a record 5 billion euros of new financing and technical support for high-impact projects in Africa. EIB engagement was strongly focused on climate action, 2/3 of our investments were in climate or environment, and on addressing the most pressing development needs in sub-Saharan Africa. 71% of the new EIB financing supported investments in fragile states and less developed regions. Overall, the EIB engagement directly supported 58 projects in 28 African countries. This includes new projects with local and global partners to improve access to green energy, clean water, and business finance, to strengthen climate resilience and public health projects, and tackle the economic and health impact of COVID-19 across the continent. The high-impact projects backed by the EU Bank last year include secured access to clean drinking water for more than 5 million people in Egypt, Burkina Faso, Kenya, Madagascar, Mozambique, and Tunisia. New support is also connecting rural communities to clean energy across Chad, the Comoros, Gambia, Mozambique, Rwanda, and Uganda, and transforming waste management into secondary towns across Senegal. Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, the EIB has rapidly enabled new support to strengthen public health and ensure that businesses could access finance during challenging times. And this increased engagement was only possible due to the close cooperation with long-standing African, EU, and international development partners. Let me also mention the unwavering dedication of colleagues in the 9 EIB offices across Africa that enabled the EIB to rapidly respond to new challenges within weeks of the COVID-19 crisis. This included support for public health and responding to the pandemic in Benin, Chad, and Morocco, and reducing the risk of COVID-19 at public water supplies in Kenya. The EIB also is backing Senegal's National Economic Resilience Initiative and accelerating private sector financing that targets sectors most impacted by the pandemic with Afreximbank. As we heard during the spring meetings in Washington, vaccinations are the best economic policy right now, and all countries and communities must have fair and equitable access. We here in Europe will be safe only if everybody, also in Africa and around the world, is safe. Here the EIB is working on two sides, by co-financing COVAX and by financing individual countries to purchase their own vaccines. As part of Team Europe, in December 2020, the EU Bank provided 400 million euros to COVAX for the supply of COVID-19 vaccines to low and middle-income countries, and this helped meet the upfront financial needs of this scheme and enabled deliveries in more than 100 countries. The EIB stands ready to increase support for COVAX alongside strengthening vaccine manufacturing, diagnostics, and public health in low and middle-income countries. By the way, we now have such a focus on vaccines that we sometimes overlook the needs when it comes to diagnostics and medication. Because, by the way, not everybody can be vaccinated, but might need care and medication. Before I mention partnership in action, talking about the events co-organized with the Portuguese presidency. By the same token, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to confirm that later this morning, the EIB will formally agree 350 million euro of new support for investment in Africa through 3 new projects. This will transform access to affordable and reliable clean energy and safe drinking water for millions of people. We will hear about the impact of the 3 projects in southern, western, and eastern Africa from African ministers, project partners, and EU ambassadors. Allow me to thank all those whose hard work has made today's high-level EU-Africa Green Investment Forum possible. And let me again express my sincere gratitude to Mr. Santos Silva and the Portuguese presidency, who are really focused on making the difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President. Mr. Vice President, please.
Thank you very much. Let me start by thanking the Portuguese presidency and here my dear friend and Minister Augusto Silva for the great work done by the Portuguese presidency teams and the EIB teams and the great enthusiasm over the last months for organizing this 25 events in Africa and in Europe. That sparked the interest for this World Conference. It was a great job, and I would say it was one of the first global events of the COVID times in the development area. As Vice President of the European Investment Bank with the responsibility for lending operations in Europe, but also in North Africa, it's a great pleasure to be here and an honor to be in my own country addressing you on these topics that are topics that relate to Portugal, to Europe, and to the world as a whole. Let me take this opportunity to highlight 3 ways in which the EIB engagement in Africa is enabling and encouraging green investments, and how the close partnership between the EIB and Portugal is unlocking vision and ambition essential to scale up and accelerate the green transition. Firstly, we are delivering climate action and environmental sustainability as part of our investment priorities. President Hoyer has highlighted the record EIB engagement in Africa in 2020. Among the 58 projects in 28 countries, there are many examples of our strong commitment to cooperate with our partners in the context of this unprecedented crisis, a health, economic and social crisis that we must face together. In Tunisia, we continue to cooperate in climate action and sustainable investment initiatives. We participated in the upgrade of the infrastructure needed to secure entire drinking water supply system in the greater Tunis area. In Morocco, with the aim of making the agricultural sector and farmers in rural areas more resilient, we signed the first partnership with a long-standing financial leader in the sector. Our financing will foster productive investments that create jobs as part of Morocco green agriculture strategy for this decade. It was a record year for the EIB engagement in Morocco, reaching an unprecedented level of 637 million euros, aligning EU priorities with the national strategic objectives of the Kingdom of Morocco and the National Recovery Plan. Secondly, we are ensuring social and economic impact of sustainable investments. In this way, together, we are building a better future for the next generations, for our children and for their children too, and tackling the biggest challenge we face in our generation, which is tackling climate change. In this way, EIB and African partners are backing innovative projects that foster growth, that create employment, and that ensure social inclusion alongside reducing energy use or harnessing renewable energy. A model of green investment that is at the same time improving opportunities for young people is the EIB-backed large-scale investment of national importance at the brand new Euromed University Eco Campus in Fez. This is not only providing world-class education, but it's also supporting Morocco in meeting climate goals through the world-class energy efficiency. Thirdly, we are placing blue economy as a central element of support for the most vulnerable communities. In the recent weeks, I had the privilege to participate in 3 of the 25 green talks held across Africa and Europe. And thanks to this miracle of virtual events, I could join discussions about cutting-edge blue economy best practices and hear examples of sustainable investment that is unlocking opportunities for climate-vulnerable communities in the Seychelles, in Ghana, and in Kenya. The interest these events generated clearly shows that getting more blue into the green transition is of utmost importance, and that blue economy sustainable development is crucial for climate ambitions in reducing poverty. Let me remind you that without blue, green is just yellow. In the Madrid Green Talks, examples of innovative renewable energy projects across Africa were highlighted by Spanish and Portuguese experts, alongside testimony from an inspiring young founder of an entrepreneurial NGO in São Tomé and Príncipe. João, the founder of this NGO, explained how coastal communities dependent on clean oceans are now able to diversify and safeguard their future as climate changes traditional fishing thanks to the access to microfinance. In both cases, the EU is showing climate leadership, and we can share that expertise going forward and help to deploy similar projects across Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, the green transition can only be delivered through a closer partnership to achieve a common goal and a better future for all citizens in the world. No one can be left behind, and this must be a fair transition. If it's not a fair transition, it will not be well succeeded. The close cooperation and shared solutions of large and small-scale green investments taking place needs to be continued and fostered. I call on all partners across Africa, across Europe, to preserve and to nurture the spirit of the Green Talks and on the UE-África Green Investment Forum. Keep up the ambition and vision in the months and the years ahead, and we'll need to do it now, because there is no time, then this is the time. Thank you very much.
If I may, one addition, please, because I think the Portuguese government and EIB together can announce that today we will come out with a common positioning declaration, how we intend to continue to support Africa and the EU's shared ambitions for sustainable investment, accelerate the green transition, harness Africa's renewable energy potential, and ensure the latest technology and best practice is used to create economic opportunities and deliver sustainable development goals. I thank you, Minister, and your government strongly for this concrete outcome that we will celebrate this afternoon after this conference. Thank you very much for that.
So now we have some very limited time for questions and answers. We'll start right away with a question from the room, RTP, the Portuguese broadcaster, and then we'll move on to one other question remote. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Mr. President, I will ask you, in which way Portuguese make this difference between the way the Europe used to see Africa and now wants to invest there? How was this? Why?
I think there is rather broad alignment in the European Union when it comes to the need to have a closer look at Africa and also to see our opportunities there. I think there is also the recognition of the fact that Africa needs frog leap development, and that means we need to bring innovation, climate, and development together. And I think the Portuguese are particularly sensitive to these development needs, because Africa cannot be satisfied with an economic growth of 3 or 5 or even 8% per year. Quantum leap development is necessary. And this is why I think we are totally in line with the Portuguese presidency. We must bring latest technologies to Africa. I'll give you an example. Last year, when traveling still was possible, I was in Ethiopia, and I saw a mobile telephone project that we have been financing there. It opens the way for mobile banking. And this mobile banking in regions where you sometimes have to walk a couple of 100 kilometers in order to find a bank outlet is now enabling people to do business with their mobile phones. And the interesting thing is, I've never seen a better contribution to the empowerment of women than this one, because this opportunity of entrepreneurial spirits exploitation is something for the women in Ethiopia, and they do it. And that means top technology needs to arrive in Africa, and that's the opportunity for us, because we have lost so many fields of technology. We have lost the battle for electronics to a large extent. We are still not the best in artificial intelligence. I hope we will get better there. But when it comes to digitalization technologies and environmental technologies, the Europeans still have an edge. And we need to use that edge now, not 10 years from now, but now. And I appreciate very much that the Portuguese, with very open eyes, both to Latin America and Africa and also to Asia, remind us of this constantly. So, great cooperation.
Thank you, President. And now we'll go to Vince Chadwick, who will join us online.
Hello, thank you. I'm joining you from the sunshine in Brussels. As you know, it's always like this, so thank you for accommodating me. 2 questions for Mr. Hoyer. Firstly, the heads of MDBs discussed a new climate facility this week for $250 million. So there were some questions about whether that was ambitious enough. I'd like to know what was decided and what you think about that. And on the idea of EIB's pending reorganisation to be more development-minded, how do you intend to have greater impact and take more risk while remaining cost neutral? Thank you.
Thank you very much. On the first issue, my response is quite clear. Several times per year, we have these meetings of the presidents of the 10 most important multilateral development banks, every year under a different leadership, this time under the leadership of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and President Jinli King. And the good thing about these meetings is they are confidential. So sorry about that, can't deliver much. But I can tell you that we have together raised our level of ambition considerably, and that is true for the initiative that you mentioned, but no concrete decisions have been taken there yet. On the other issue, Sometimes when I travel through the member states of the European Union, I have the feeling I need to tell our colleagues, even our ministers and prime ministers, that we are already there in development. EIB is doing roughly 10 billion euros of development every year. And to be honest, that is more than most other regional development banks are doing. So we have nothing to hide there. But we need to get more impact. And this is why EIB internally is working on an improvement of our efficiency, and that will lead to a reorganization of our activities in that field. We personally believe that it would make sense to strengthen even more the cooperation with the European Commission on this, and also with the national development institutions around the European Union. We will make this offer, but it's a political question. And therefore, I'm grateful to the Portuguese presidency that we had in the ECOFIN meeting, the finance ministers meeting last week, a very intensive discussion about this thing. And we will have another one with the development and foreign ministers very soon. And then the Portuguese presidency will come up with council conclusions, which then, of course, will be binding for us. But I can assure you, our ambitions on development are not going down, they're going up. And I believe that the European Union, our union, needs more visibility around the world when it comes to development activities. The European Union and the European Union member states are the by far strongest contributors to development assistance. But in many countries around the world, nobody's aware of that, because we put the Lithuanian flag there, the Portuguese flag there, the German flag there, but where's Europe? We need to show up visibly as the European Union with a strategic view on our partners around the world, and in particular, of course, in Africa.
And I apologize, but it's the very last question, RTP again, here from the room.
Peço desculpa de não ser mas eu queria perguntar ao Sr. Ministro, em relação aos dinheiros do plano de recuperação, quando é que vão chegar a Portugal? Se tem alguma perspectiva?
Nós estamos, neste momento, na União Europeia, a concluir o processo de ratificação nacional da decisão sobre recursos próprios em todos os Estados-membros. 17 dos 27 Estados-membros já comunicaram formalmente que concluíram o seu processo de ratificação e nos restantes o processo está em curso e esperamos que seja concluído nas próximas semanas. Ao mesmo tempo, Portugal já entregou o seu Plano Nacional de Recuperação e Resiliência e nos próximos dias espera-se que vários outros Estados-membros apresentem os seus planos nacionais. Temos depois um período para a Comissão Europeia analisar estes planos e o ECOFIN, o Conselho, aprová-los. O que quer dizer que esperamos que até ao verão os primeiros planos nacionais de recuperação e resiliência estejam aprovados, que, tendo sido concluído o processo de ratificação nacional da decisão sobre recursos próprios, a União Europeia, a Comissão Europeia já tenha podido levantar os primeiros fundos nos mercados e, portanto, esperamos que ao longo do verão as primeiras verbas, os primeiros financiamentos surjam. Portanto, a nossa expectativa é essa, concretamente em relação ao plano português. Esperamos que durante o verão a primeira tranche de até 13% do total seja disponibilizada a Portugal.
We thank you. This is all the time that we have for now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all of the journalists who joined us online.
I think there was a journalist expressing the will to... No? Thank you. Thank you.